Welcome, ghouls and fools, to debatably the strangest and most uncomfortable episode I've done yet.
Awesome.
That's it. That's all I've got. I'm Kate.
And I'm Nat.
And without further ado, this is Wading into the Void.
Bum bum.
As I'm sure you could tell, I didn't have much of an introduction for this episode because, well, frankly, I don't know where to start. I've been promising Nat, I think, for our first true crime episode that I was going to cover the quote-unquote woman that turned people into soap. And today is the day, my friends.
Today is the day.
This one was a doozy to research. It went in directions I did not think it was going to. It actually made me uncomfortable, which a lot of cases don't, and made me have weird dreams because I thought it was a great idea to research this right before bed, which, you know, that one's on me. But before we get into tarot reading and our usual banter, I want to give a few trigger warnings. Now, as I'm sure you've all noticed, and Nat, you know, I'm not a huge one to issue trigger warnings because this is a horror, supernatural, and, you know, general true crime podcast. So I'm under the impression that if you're here, those things don't bother you much. I will, however, give them in instances like Gary Ridgway, where extreme violence against women occurs, and I'll do the same if we're covering a case involving children, or in this case, cannibalism.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yep,
I hate
you
this.
heard me right.
I don't like this
one
already.
involves cannibalism.
I hate this.
Which is gross, messed up, not cool, and don't do it, yada yada yada. So, I'm sorry, I couldn't think of another way to say it, but if cannibalism isn't something you can stomach, this episode might not be for you.
I don't know, Katie, I really don't feel good right now. Can you see how pale I am right now? I don't think I'm ready for this episode.
You have no choice, but everyone else, if this isn't for you, might want to exit quietly now. That's it. That's my trigger warning. But please take note to always check the show notes before listening to an episode to see if there are any trigger warnings that may apply to you as well, as we always have a list of them there because that's Nat's job. That's what she does. She keeps me on track.
So if there's nothing there, that means I'm fucking dead.
Pretty much. Okay, Nat, so I literally do not have a positive for this week's episode because this one has left me disturbed.
Oh.
So let's just head into your territory. Tarot and oracle cards. What do we have today?
We're not sharing our own positives in life? Good, because I don't have any anyways. Okay.
It is that kind of a day.
Time for this reading that makes me want to shoot myself.
Ooh, we're off to a good start.
So, okay, guys, so listen to this. Little Natty McGee. That's not my name, by the way. Anyways, I got some new decks for us for our special month coming up. So, you are listening to this at the end of September, right before
we give our announcement of what special thing is to come.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this on Thursday, the 29th, be on the lookout.
You.
Friday, the 30th.
You listening right now.
Go to our Instagram.
Ready. Fucking get ready. Go. Okay, anyways. Sorry. I bought 2 new decks for us for our special month coming up.
Yes. And now they're on the floor.
And now I wrecked my shit.
Insert Jeopardy music here.
Okay, so we have 2 awesome decks. Awesome decks. And you know, one of these is by Stacey DeMarco. Because
yes.
she has stolen my heart recently for some reason.
Yes.
Are
not saying move over
listen,
Kim Krans.
Listen, okay, no, because at the same time that I bought this, I also bought another deck that is by Kim Krans. So, Kim Krans, Stacey DeMarco, we got them going on. But you won't hear anything about this new deck that I got from Kim Krans anytime soon. So, wait for that. But I got this super cool deck by Stacey DeMarco, and it is the Halloween Oracle.
Dun 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 dun
And
dun
it
dun
is the
dun dun dun.
cutest fucking thing I have ever seen.
It's frickin' bats.
There's little
I love
bats,
Halloween.
cauldrons, jack-o'-lanterns, kitty cats, ghosts, broomsticks on this, like, little glossy sections on this book and the box, and the cards are absolutely beautiful. Like,
I'm so ready.
so ready. Okay.
I haven't seen this one yet either, guys. So, this is a true unveiling.
So, it's giving me a headache. Okay. Anyways, so the card that I have chosen with the help of Katie today is Eternal Love. And it says, love is love is love, and it transcends physical death. When the body leaves us and our souls are above, our possessions no longer, nothing remains but the intertwining of love. Okay. All of us are the product of millennia of love. Our parents' our ancestors by blood and ritual all have in some way created the DNA that weaves together throughout our bodies. Love, in fact, powers life and death. When most of us first encounter deaths in our lives, we experience grieving too, and in some ways that feeling could be described as an absence of love and the absence of that person or being. But the kind of love that is often shared between family members, friends, and lovers, separated only by physical death, is the kind that poets wax lyrical about, that is truly eternal and transcends death. Should you choose this card, you are being reminded that love is the most powerful force in this universe. It is more powerful than death itself. Love lingers. It leaves its own legacy, and we should be aware of this every day that we live. For those that are ready for and desiring of a partner, it also indicates that a significant love is close at hand and to be ready to open up to this new experience.
That card just told all of you, whoever you are, if you're out there and you read, go pick up a good old smutty book and have a good night.
Where did you get that from?
Speaking of, here's one positive for everyone. I started a book called Wreck and Ruin. Go read it. It's good as shit. If you like bikers, tattoos.
Whoa, wait a minute.
I told you need to go read it. It is so good. Go check it out.
I started a book recently called An Obsidian Empire.
Hell yes.
And it's very good.
Book recs.
Yes. Okay. Anyways,
stay tuned for Recommendations podcast coming in the future.
Okay, I have like 4 monster fucker books that I read. I'm trying to get Katie to read this one with a fucking tentacle penis, so she won't. No, she said she would, but she won't. She'll stop reading when she gets
I'll try anything at least once.
Dude, it's good. I was like,
at least books.
I was like, why is this making me blush? It's literally a dog penis with tentacles.
Oh my, ew! Maybe I'm not reading that one.
No, it's not a dog penis. It's like a thing. I don't know.
No, but look, I'm the type of person that in public, I can sit there and I could have the dirtiest goddamn book you've ever seen in your life. I can be reading it. It's like nastiest, dirtiest scene in the book, and I'll sit there with a damn straight face on. But if he's
Um,
like, "Oh, you're beautiful," and gives her a forehead kiss, I'm like, "Ah!" My face is red. I'm like, "Yeah."
So this book, okay, hang on. I have to tell you guys about this book because I think somebody needs to read this to just talk about with me. Okay? Okay, don't okay. So this book,
Are you reading us a synopsis?
no. No. This book is called A Soul to Keep
Oh,
by
boy.
Opal Rain.
I put this one on my list, okay?
Okay, this is such a good book. Okay, yes, it is a monster fucker book, which means it is a lady who has sex with a monster that does not look like a traditional human. Okay? Yes. Okay, this is the first book I have ever read of this genre. And I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. Well, it turns out I loved it. Because the monster character is very human in the way that they interact. So it's not just
Isn't it like a Beauty and the Beast type spinoff type shit?
no,
Like in a weird way.
no.
I mean, she be Beauty, he be Beast, literally.
Well, yeah, like very loosely. Like he doesn't turn
Yes.
into a human or anything like that.
No, just like you have that loosely based, like,
Yeah.
Hades and Persephone thing,
Yeah,
going on.
yeah.
People use all the time.
That's what I read like after this book too. Anyways,
What do we got for an oracle card?
okay, someone please read that book. Please, for the love of God, read that book and talk to me about it. I don't care. Okay,
You know
but
what?
none
We'll
of...
put links to both of them in the description.
Yes. I will read Katie's book. Katie will read my book, and
Yes.
then we'll go from there. All right. So we have another special deck that we are going to be pulling from this next special month that we have coming up, and this is the Horror Tarot deck by Arya Mitter and Minerva Siegel, and is illustrated by Abigail Larson.
Abigail Larson?
Yeah.
I know that name.
Okay.
Why do I know that name?
I don't know. She sounds like somebody we went to school with.
No, let me look this up.
Abigail Larson. Well, whoever...
I wonder if she did work for, Story when I worked there.
Maybe.
It sounds familiar.
Whoever, Abigail Larson is, they are a wonderful artist. Because every single one of these cards is literally gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And the one we got today is a little spooky, but this is the Horror Tarot deck. Like, who are you fucking kidding? Okay.
Yes.
But, yes, I have to take a picture. Of course.
I'm sorry. What? The Nightmare Before Christmas tarot deck and guidebook?
Oh, my cousin has that.
Will Katie be buying that for the holidays?
You know what's awesome about this deck?
Hmm.
Is that the cards are not glossy. So if you take a picture with the flash on, you can see the whole thing. Which is very nice. It is a very nice touch because literally every single deck that I own is glossy.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you ready for this or are you still researching?
I'm researching, but I don't have any idea why this sounds familiar to me. I have no clue who she is. But I'm glad I do now. So read me the card.
We got a card, and it is definitely the reversed meaning. So we've gotten this card before. So this...
Is it the Three of Swords?
No. That would be crazy, because I've been talking about it a lot recently. But no, we got Justice.
Oh!
And so it says, the laws of life are as old as Lady Justice, whose eyes pierce through lies with the light of truth. The scales tip to find a balance, weighing for a final verdict. What is right or wrong? And so, since we got the reversed meaning, here's the reverse description. Has life become imbalanced? Every action you take has a reaction. So review their moral and ethical impact on your life. A situation or habit you have could appear to be harmless, but lead to effects that you will not want to take responsibility for. This is kind of crazy to me, because last week, I think I was high, like, literally every single day.
Jesus Christ.
And I drank an entire bottle of champagne while also being high. And I'm just now realizing that I'm like, this is a problem. We could cut this out. I don't want people knowing this. But
I'm like, I am a child of God.
No. Well, compared to me, yes. But no, I'm like, this is weird, because I was just talking to somebody about it today. I was like, this is not good. Like, I should not be doing this. But
You were doing good for a hot minute there.
I was, yeah. And then I just stopped. I don't know why. But that's it. That's the
Coping
cards.
mechanism.
Let's talk
All
about
right.
cannibalist fucking ladies that make soap or something.
All right. It's time to talk about our topic for today. Leonarda Cianciulli? Cianciulli? I don't know. It's Italian.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
apologize. Also known as the Soap-Maker of Correggio. Pretty sure I got that one right.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the gory details, it's important to understand just how Leonarda became what she was. I want to share before I dive in that I personally think that this is a true case of nature versus nurture. And that she was so unloved at the beginning of her life that she didn't know how to express her love or concern later on.
Okay.
That'll make more sense as I get into it more.
Okay.
And I don't want you to think I'm like, poor serial killer, because I'm not. But you feel sorry for the child, not the adult. So without further ado, here we go. We're actually going to start this episode off by talking about Leonarda's mother, Serafina Marano. Which might sound strange, but it'll make more sense in a little while. Now, Serafina came from prickly high society and never had to worry about much.
Mm-hmm.
She had housekeepers and maids and women to assist her with every aspect of life.
Okay.
On top of that, she was considered to be quite beautiful, and she came from a prominent family with a good name, which at this time meant pretty much everything. She had plenty of suitors and frequently attended parties and balls and was going through the long and drawn-out courting process as all wealthy and proper women did in the 1800s.
Okay.
However, her sheltered upbringing did lend itself to many of these women being very naive and generally having a poor understanding of how cruel the world really could be. One night in 1893, Serafina was attending a bustling, chaperoned party. Because, yes, everything had to be chaperoned.
Yes!
God
let's
forbid
go!
any lewd interactions take place.
Damn. I can't pop a titty for a sailor? Okay, fine.
No. But she was having a wonderful time. She was entertaining her suitors and becoming even closer to one of them. Dare I say, even coming close to making her decision on who she would possibly want to spend the rest of her life with. Of course, if her parents approved.
Mm-hmm.
However, everything changed when it was time for her to turn in for the night. Instead of riding home in a carriage like the other women, Serafina decided that on such a nice night, she was going to walk home. It was only a short trip after all. Upon leaving the party and making her way home, she crossed paths with an oaf of a man named Mariano Cianciulli. because that's how I'm gonna go with pronouncing it.
Okay.
Mariano had been loathfully watching her for weeks now. Watching her parade around town, showing off her gluttonous wealth and her just glorious beauty. He was seething, knowing he would never have what she was promised in life.
Okay.
However, on this one night, he finally got the chance to strike. Instead of being a decent human being and letting this young, very underage girl go about her life peacefully, Mariano chose to destroy the life of a young Serafina. He followed her quietly into a field near her home and took her by force.
No.
One of the saddest parts of this for me is that Serafina had no idea what was happening other than it hurt. At this time, no one warned girls of what takes place in the marriage bed, or in this instance, when they're sexually assaulted. She begged and pleaded with him to no avail. She offered him money and any other thing she could think of. But he didn't relent until he had what he really wanted. To wreck her life.
Mm-hmm.
When he was done with his abuse, he simply walked away and left Serafina half naked and bloody in that field where she would lay for hours. She was so traumatized, she just couldn't move. By the time she mustered up the courage to get back up and make the final journey home, she was confused, aching, and terrified. When she did make it home, though, no one else was awake. Everyone had turned in for the night, even the servants. So she made her way into her room and went to sleep, remaining in her torn and dirty clothing. She didn't get much sleep. She just laid there staring at the ceiling, just uncomfortable, in pain, just confused. And instead set to cleaning herself up and disposing of all the evidence of what happened that night. She knew if anyone found out what happened, she would be ruined and shamed. So she aimed to hide it. And she did so successfully for months. Until the maids assigned to her told her mother that she was no longer getting her period on a monthly basis.
Oh, no.
They would know. They were the ones responsible for washing your sheets, and there was no way of tracking your period back then. It just kind of came when it did.
Jesus Christ.
So, like, yikes.
They really just, like, free blood it everywhere?
Well, no, they had, like, things to, like, plug the shoe, but, like, there was no way of, like, tracking, like, when the hell it was gonna come. They didn't have birth control or anything to regulate their cycle, so if you didn't have, like, a strict, it's sticking to it, you know? It was just, like, a free-for-all, like,
Well, I guess I'm
hope
bleeding
it comes.
profusely now.
Woohoo! With this news, though, her parents confronted her, and Serafina was forced to confess what happened that night. But instead of consoling their clearly distraught daughter, they sought out Mariano, a man much older than her, and arranged for them to marry.
What the fuck? What in the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
Now,
the fuck?
This man, who did one of the worst things a person could do, was being rewarded for his actions.
What the fuck?
While Serafina was being punished all because her parents refused to have the Marano name tarnished. Women did not have children out of wedlock at this time. It was considered shameful.
Oh, L parents.
You know, high society takes us seriously. You don't screw with that family name.
That's fucking
it is
bullshit.
What it is.
That's crazy.
I agree. It's absolutely terrible. So, much to the arguing of Serafina, she and Mariano were married shortly after it was known that she was pregnant. And she was forced into a life with her abuser. She was repetitively beaten and assaulted by this man, even throughout her pregnancy, because he was just a disgusting piece of human trash.
Is he gonna be the first soap victim?
No.
Oh, fuck. I really wanted him to be.
I know, we all have hopes and dreams. He was an alcoholic and only made enough to pay for his share of their home, his drinking addiction, and food to feed himself. He didn't care whether or not Serafina ate. She actually had to go begging on the streets for food.
Wow, her parents really fucking set her up with this one.
Yep.
I don't understand. If they're so well-to-do and stuff like that, like, why is their daughter starving and begging on the streets?
Because even though they sent her off with this man, rumors still fly. Everyone knows everything in a small town.
Mm.
So their name, although it wasn't like a direct hit, was still like getting some heat, you know?
Mm.
So as far as like Mariano was concerned, she was a terrible wife. She didn't know how to do anything around the house and was useless. But she'd never been taught how to do any of these things. She had someone to do it for her entire life. So how would she just miraculously know how?
Mm-hmm.
Things only got worse when her daughter, Leonarda, was born in April 1984.
Mm-hmm.
This is when I'm going to switch over.
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty recent.
Sorry, 1894.
Oh, okay.
1894.
Okay. I was like, 1984? Damn, people be made into soap in, like, the 90s.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, this is when I'm going to switch over and focus on Leonarda and less on her mother, Serafina.
Okay.
Although, her mother will have a huge role to play in the rest of this story. Unlike what we would hope for, you know, that Serafina would show her daughter the love that no one had shown her in years. We couldn't be any more far off. Leonarda was constantly abused by her mother and was repetitively cursed for being disobedient, aka doing the housework her mother never had the capabilities of doing. Because she was essentially like a slave to her mother just to order around the house.
Awesome. We love
She
that.
resented her. She took absolutely everything away from her in her eyes.
Yeah.
This baby was what did her in addition to Mariano.
Mm-hmm.
Things were so awful for Leonarda that she actually attempted suicide twice. I believe before the age of 16.
Oh my god.
She knew no love and only wanted to escape her brutal reality. She was unsuccessful, however, both times, and only injured her windpipe in the first attempt. The second attempt, she, suffered some bad reactions because she tried to hang herself. Twice. And it failed both times. Her mother only showed her any type of affection when she realized that Leonarda was fairly beautiful. And although Serafina was ruined, her daughter Leonarda still had virtue and was a descendant of the Murano family. So she could use her daughter to weave her way back into high society. And that's exactly what she tried to do. And she was nearly successful. She set about trying to find a match with a wealthy, well-groomed, proper young man. And she nearly succeeded. However, Leonarda finally chose to do something for herself and fell in love with a man named Raphael Pansardi, a register clerk who she married not long after her second suicide attempt. Her mother was furious and cursed her and any of her future children. From this moment on, Leonarda and her mother never spoke again. But her mother's presence and her curse hung over her entire life. Instead, Leonarda and her husband, Raphael, moved to Loria Potenza. Here, the couple would attempt to start a family and a life. Instead, they would face 3 miscarriages, in addition to losing 10 of their 17 born children to sickness early in life.
God damn! 17?
Yeah. She had 17 kids.
17 out the cooch.
20 if you count the miscarriages.
What is this? 21 kids and counting?
With such a large family to support and immense sadness, rightfully so, Leonarda made some poor decisions. In 1927, she was put in prison for committing fraud. Yes.
Fraud? Okay, sure.
She was scamming people and scheming in attempts to make money. Because although both her and her husband had jobs and they were bringing in money, they had a shit ton of kids. That's a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah. Even with the ones that fucking died, they still had
7.
7.
That's a lot of kids.
7 kids. 7 kids is way too fucking much.
When she was eventually released and her family moved to Lacedonia Avellino, where they lived happily until their village was destroyed by the 1930s Irpinia earthquake.
Okay.
That's right. The entire village destroyed by an earthquake. They then sought shelter in the town they would remain in for the rest of their days, Correggio. Shortly after their arrival, Leonarda visited a fortune teller, which she would do frequently, and got a rather life-altering reading. One hand read that she was destined to spend time in prison, which technically she had already served. And the other hand said she would be spending time in a criminal asylum. These fortunes, and curses from her mother, would lead her down a horrific path in life. When they were settled in town, they were able to find a place to live that had an attached shop. The family found work and the kids attended school while Leonarda opened a soap shop from the attached store.
There it is. The soap shop.
Yes. People loved her soaps and tea cakes, and she was very popular with the women in town. She was friends with a lot of them. They all trusted her. They came to her for advice, you know? It was said that she was a great friend and an even better listener. She also dabbled in spells, potions, and rituals, which she would eventually incorporate into her shop by selling potions and remedies to people's smaller problems. So, let's say your son kept getting headaches. At 11:30 on the dot every night, Leonarda had just the potent remedy for you. In like a little vial, you know, mix it in with their water, they'll get better. And in a lot of cases, they did.
That's weird.
So, she was like the town's medicine woman. She just like healed everything. You wanted Jerry down the street to fall in love with you? She's got a love potion for you. However, everything would take a turn for the worst when her eldest living son, Giuseppe, enrolled in the army on the eve of World War II.
Not Giuseppe.
Giuseppe.
Like Pinocchio's Giuseppe?
Maybe. I mean... After receiving the curse from her mother and reading saying all of her children would die young, Leonarda knew she needed to do everything she could to keep her son safe. After failing to convince him to change his mind, she came to the difficult conclusion that the only way to protect him was through human sacrifice.
What the fuck?
So that's what she did.
How did I know that was coming? Some stupid as shit like that.
Does anyone ever make people into soap for a good reason?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's only happened once.
I also hope it only happened once. I didn't see anything else on it, so... Leonarda's three victims were all found... Leonarda's three victims were all found in two of her neighbors and in one close friend. Her first victim was a woman named Faustina Setti, a lifelong spinster who was just hoping for a husband to love.
What the fuck?
She repetitively came to Leonarda seeking a love match and potions to get someone to fall in love with you. She was a lonely woman.
She just wanted someone to love her.
She wanted a companion. Was that, like, so hard?
Sorry, Leonarda, your entire life was fucked because your mom couldn't fall in love with someone, but this lady deserved love.
She was older, too, you know? I think she was maybe in her mid-40s or something. So she had been single for quite some time, you know, at this day and age. And she wasn't going out to meet somebody she really loved at this point, you know? Not in that type of society. And Leonarda thought that since Faustina was older and lonely, no one would miss her. So she decided to lure her into her trap.
Okay.
Leonarda told Faustina that she found a match for her in Pola and asked her to keep the news private around town. She didn't want everyone coming to her for a love match, you know? She couldn't set everyone up. She convinced Faustina to write postcards and letters to friends and family, letting them know of her new development and that she would be moving to a new address and that she would, you know, write them when she got there. Let them know how things are going with her new love and just how life is in general. Eager to find love, Faustina complied and visited Leonarda at the shop to wrap everything up with a nice bow. Instead, Leonarda drugged her, slipping some type of poison in her wine, probably arsenic.
Awesome.
And when she passed out, bludgeoned her to death with an axe.
Oh, Jesus, fuck.
Worst part is, she missed the first time.
Ma'am?
She struck her, like, in the shoulder blade. Because she didn't have the confidence to look upon what she was actually doing. So she closed her eyes and just swung. She then proceeded to chop Faustina's body into 9 pieces and collect every drop of her blood.
That's really weird.
From Faustina's blood, Leonarda made tea cakes, which she shared with her friends and family. You see, no one had the heart to tell her that they were dry and just, like, had no flavor other than this, like, weird flavor they couldn't place.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, at least she didn't take, like, a leg and chop it up, you know? I don't know why in my head I'm, like, computing, like, oh, at least that's,
blood's
like...
not as bad. Like, I wouldn't consider just blood...
I mean, none of it's good. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, but I wouldn't consider just blood cannibalism. In my opinion.
I mean, I have this weird thing in my head where I'm like, we're all kind of cannibals, like, a little bit, right? Because, like, let's see, like, you have a piece of, like, skin on your nail. You bite it off.
Yeah, but I'm not, like, savory deliciousness, like, I want to eat you.
No, but you're still eating. You know? Like, it's weird. But, I don't know, I don't mean it how it sounds, but I'm happy it was blood and not, like, a finger.
Yeah. I feel like blood is not as bad as actual flesh.
It's still wrong.
It's still really fucked up and weird.
But it made me feel a little better that it wasn't like
oh, weenies in a blanket! And it's like their fucking toes and shit. Like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it doesn't really get better.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't get better.
No.
She also took her body parts, separating the fat layers from the rest of it. And threw it into a pot with caustic soda, an ingredient used to make soap, and waited for it to come together the way the rest of her soaps did. Because they used, like, some type of fat back then. It was probably, like, animal fat, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, instead, she ended up with a gray sludgy mixture that she knew she couldn't use. She said it was just putrid. It was gross. So she, like, dumped it out back, and as she did with all of her bodies, I believe she dumped them in, like, the river or, like, in her backyard in, like, a pit. I don't really know.
What the fuck?
But, you know, she also received Faustina's life savings as payment for setting her up with her match.
Oh, shit.
Which was about $30,000 US today.
Holy fuck.
It didn't take long for Leonarda to claim her second victim.
Now she's
This
got a taste
woman
for it.
was named Francesca Suave? Leonarda told her that she found work for her at a girls' school. All Francesca ever wanted to do was teach. And opportunities for women to work were so slim at this time, it's like the 20s, you know, that she hopefully believed that what Leonarda told her was true. I mean, everyone had gotten Faustina's letters that said, you know, she went away, she was happy, she was so excited, she had no reason not to believe Leonarda was telling her the truth, you know? Once again, Leonarda had her write those same letters and mail postcards, which Francesca thought was odd, but so eager to get started in this new role, she complied. Upon meeting Leonarda at her shop the day she was supposed to, you know, take off, Francesca was also drugged with the same wine as Faustina, cut into pieces, and was drained of her blood. Leonarda once again used her blood to make tea cakes, another bad batch of gray sludge, and the tea cakes were once again fed to her friends and family.
So, was she trying to perfect the soap, or she just didn't know what else to do, so she's making it into fucking soap, and it turned out shit?
You see, she wanted the sacrifice not just to be like a stab, done, goes to the gods, whatever. You know, like when we think of like Mayans, their type of human sacrifice. She wanted it to quote unquote mean something. So by doing the tea cakes, you would literally be taking their essence, making it a part of you. It would help like improve your longevity in life. And the soap, you would literally be taking their essence and cleansing all of the negativity off of you with, like, their goodness.
Yeah, but she's not even making soap. She's just throwing it out.
For now.
Oh, okay. Okay, so she is trying to perfect it.
Yes, she is.
Okay.
She is using her same recipe that she typically uses to make soap. And it always comes out great. It works wonderful. However, due to her own personal accounts, we now know that the fat on these people's bodies weren't desirable for making soap. Leonarda assumed that it was the victims who were causing the cakes to be less than ideal and the soap to not set properly.
Ma'am?
So she made the decision that her sacrifices needed to have more meaning. Like, they couldn't just be an acquaintance like she had been doing so far, you know? They weren't anyone she was, like, particularly really close with. It needed to be someone she held dear. Still, though, she collected an abundance of money from her latest victim nonetheless. I think about 3,000 euros. Is that what they use in Italy at that time? It was 3,000 something. This led to the murder of Leonarda's final victim, Virginia Cacioppo. Virginia was once a revered soprano who sang at highly respected institutions. She had fallen out of work at some point. I think she fell in love, maybe moved somewhere. She was hoping to get work there. It just didn't work out. But Leonarda told her that she found an inn with, like, this mysterious institution owner in Florence. Like, he was very secretive, but he was up and coming, you know? It was like his thing to keep things private, because it really made for a show. Leonarda, once again, completed the same steps as with the other women, and soon Virginia was waiting inside Leonarda's shop on the day she was set to leave. However, when Leonarda offered Virginia wine, she initially refused. And after a lot of pressure and about 1,000 times of asking, Virginia finally agreed to drink the wine. Initially, she was like, no, I'm going to be traveling. I don't want to feel any type of tipsy when I get there. I want to be sober the time I meet my new boss. And Leonarda's like, no, it's like a long trip. It'll help settle your nerves, yada, yada, yada. And in Italy, wine is like a big thing, you know?
Yeah.
Helps you just chillax. So eventually Virginia caved and she was like, okay, you know what? You're right. One glass isn't going to hurt anything. Sadly, her life ended in the same manner as the previous two women. One difference was the outcome of Leonarda's batches of tea cakes and soap. Whereas the other cakes were dry and tasteless, these cakes were sweet. And this batch of soap set perfectly and had a lovely smell. Leonarda was even quoted saying, "That woman was really sweet." Which
that
makes me uncomfortable.
That literally gave me goosebumps. That's fucking freaky as hell.
You see, what was even sweeter, though, was that Leonarda obtained a gross amount of fine jewels and cash from her dear friend.
Oh,
Yeah, no, she made out really good with all this. By the time Giuseppe was getting suspicious and irritated with his mother's overbearing behavior, he officially had enough, though, when his mother forced him to eat this batch of tea cakes, and later pressured her... I'm just going to start that over. By this time, Giuseppe was getting suspicious and irritated with his mother's overbearing behavior. But he officially had enough when his mother forced him to eat this batch of tea cakes, and later pressured him into letting her bathe him. By this time, Giuseppe was getting suspicious and irritated with his mother's overbearing behavior. But he officially had enough when his mother literally forced him to eat this batch of tea cakes, and later pressured him into letting her bathe him. At this time, he was well over 16, maybe in his 20s. So he was very disturbed and uncomfortable. She had never made such a strange demand before. She, literally scrubbed this man from head to toe, did not miss an inch. He was like, I hate this, I need to leave. And he attempted to distance himself from his mother and move on with his life. He was over it. Glad to have a little respite from her. You know, at least until the police showed up and brought him into the station. You see, Virginia's sister, Albertina, had gotten suspicious after a while, because she hadn't heard anything from her sister, who, even after her move, promised to right her and failed to do so. Albertina paid Leonarda a visit at her shop and found her incredibly suspicious, and took her feelings directly to the police. The police proceeded to investigate Leonarda and her family. After their investigation and strong questioning efforts, they didn't give up. They were like, yeah, something's off about this. They came to the conclusion that it was, in fact, Giuseppe who was guilty of the crimes his mother actually committed. She was an older lady. How did she have the strength to haul these women's bodies anywhere? You know? She couldn't have possibly done this. And of course, this, I believe, is like the 40s at this point. So, Women serial killers? Women doing bad crimes?
Women doing anything besides fucking cooking?
And popping out 17 kids?
Jesus.
No. This is when Leonarda finally came clean. She wouldn't let her son go down for what she had done.
Mm-hmm.
All in the name of protecting him, of course. The police didn't believe her, though. When she confessed, they thought that she was just doing it to cover for Giuseppe. It wasn't until she began unveiling unreleased details such as the tea cakes and soap that they realized exactly what and who they were dealing with. They wasted no time in putting her on trial for her crimes in 1946. So like I said, I was right, it's about the 40s. Leonarda held nothing back when questioned and even went as far as to correct false statements from the opposition and her own lawyers.
Damn! She really said, nah, give me that longest penalty you can ever get. She's like...
She was straight up like, get it straight, like...
Get it straight, I did this fucked up shit.
I honestly do believe she might have been somewhat remorseful. Somewhat.
Why?
I don't think she ever really wanted to do it, but she was so delusional that she thought this was the only way to protect her children.
But it was only her one son.
It's the only thing she knew how to do. Well, she was very overbearing to all of her children. But only Giuseppe was in the literally direct line of fire. He enlisted in World War II, you know? She even revealed later on that the copper pot she used to boil the women into soap, she donated to the war efforts because they needed good metal.
What the fuck?
So I don't want to know if they used it to, like, prepare their rations out in the field. I really don't want to know.
Yum, delicioso!
Because it could go so much worse if you just go down that rabbit hole.
That's probably like a haunted artifact somewhere.
Oh, we know exactly where it is. When her trial came to an end, she was sentenced to 30 years in prison and 3 years in a criminal asylum.
Oh, shit. They were right.
So, the reading from the fortune teller ended up coming true. Leonarda would eventually die in the woman's criminal asylum from cerebral apoplexy on October 15th, 1970. So, I know you looked that up, Nat. So, what is it?
So, cerebral apoplexy is basically bleeding in the brain. It's some kind of hemorrhage or stroke in your brain.
Like, I'm not going to say I find it uncanny that she literally drained her victims of blood and then she died from a type of blood clot, but...
That's interesting.
Karma, it comes around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's damage to the brain from interruption of its blood supply. So, that's interesting.
I wonder if that's actually a side effect of her attempting to commit suicide twice by hanging.
I don't know.
If it was in the brain.
It could be something...
And she suffered damage to her neck.
Well, it could be something similar to, like, aneurysms that just it seems like it happens spontaneously without cause.
Gotcha.
But it does sound like karma.
In some shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, before this, we did touch on where is this copper pot?
Yeah.
Several artifacts from this crime, including the copper pot, are displayed at the Criminological Museum in Rome.
Yeah.
It is displayed.
Yeah, that's haunted.
In Rome.
It's haunted.
At a museum.
That makes sense. That's exactly where I would want it to be.
I assume it's in like a glass case.
Yeah.
Like people can't touch it.
They made
which is
people
fine.
soap in this thing.
Pretty much. Like, what else are you gonna write? Like, Pot used to boil
Mm.
people into soap that people then scrubbed themselves with. Like,
Yeah, best soap I ever done used in my entire life.
ugh.
It's so
I
fucked
hope
up.
everyone feels my discomfort.
It's so gross. Imagine you're like scrubbing your body and you're ugh. Imagine you see like hair or something
Ew!
and you're like, huh, that must be one of mine. And it's like her
Ugh.
just a fucking
I don't want to know.
ugh.
I don't want to know.
You're scrubbing
good
your
news
body
is-
with like her fucking thigh fat. It's awesome. I'm joking.
I'm really glad that that's it for Leonarda Cianciulli, also known as the Soap-Maker of Correggio.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
So, thank you for sticking around for this one. Like I said, it's probably the weirdest one I've ever done, but I'm
Yeah.
glad I never have to do it again.
It's really weird. The combination of eating the blood tea cakes and
Yes.
soap is just
Yep.
really strange. Like,
You see, when I kept saying things about this case to Nat, I never knew about the, like, cannibalistic aspect of it all.
mhm.
Like, I guess in itself, turning people into soap is a bit cannibalistic.
So she
but, like,
ate the tea cakes also?
yes.
Because she was saying she was a very sweet gal.
Yes, she ate the tea cakes and fed them to her family and her friends
Okay,
around town.
But here's my question now. Do you think they just got used to the taste of the tea cakes?
I hope not.
And that's why they were like, oh, this one's really sweet. Because they started liking it.
I hope not. I
Eh.
think everyone was just so disturbed by this entire thing. And I don't know how her family moved on from this. I literally could not find a single thing about how her family proceeded after this
If
or anyone
my-
that ate her tea cakes.
If my mom was like, I'm making shepherd's pie, and I showed up and I was like, where's dad? Like,
Ugh.
I think I would puke and never, I'd probably kill myself, to be honest.
I don't think I could ever eat again.
No, yeah, I'd have to kill myself.
Or, like, even if I did eat, I could never eat anything that could maybe possibly contain anything.
Yeah, I'd be
Like, I'd
eating
probably have to eat
strictly
strictly fruits and
vegetarian.
vegetables.
Yeah.
Like, nothing that you could mix together. Now, that was a bonkers story. And sadly, it's true. But if you have an equally as weird story, a terrifying happening, or God knows what else, please, I hope it's not this fucking strange, send it into our email.
waitingintothevoid@gmail.com. But please, if you're a cannibal or a serial killer or something like that, we don't want to hear from you because I don't want that burden of guilt placed upon me. Thank you.
And we will immediately send it to the police. Yes, thank you. We would love to hear your thoughts on this one, if you found it as disturbing as we did, and if, you didn't get any sleep for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And the best place to chat with us about them?
Is on our Discord.
Yes. Look at the link in the bio.
Yeah.
It'll be there.
It's always there.
Sorry for the lack of enthusiasm. We've hit that point. But if you're still not satisfied with looking and are, looking for more content, follow us on social media. We promise not to post too much about the soap lady or talk about her ever again. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at
Wading into the void.
on Twitter at
Wade into the void.
and if you're looking to help support the podcast, you can find us on Patreon by searching
Wading into the void. We are the first people We are the first people who pop up because we have an awesome name. And also, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Anchor, we have a link for you to donate to us on Anchor.
Yes.
It is in the
Less
description on Spotify. I think our whole page description, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And that kind of works the same as Patreon, except it's more of a we don't expect anything in return donation.
Yes.
Because Patreon...
You're just feeling nice.
Patreon still isn't really set up. We're not really doing a ton with that yet, but...
We are so sorry.
Yeah, it's whatever.
We both work about 52 hours a week on top of this, so forgive us.
Oh, God. Yeah.
On that note, Phantom Fam, let's wrap this one up. I don't think I need to repeat any of this, and I sure as hell shouldn't have to tell you not to do any of it. So that being said, everyone, I hope you get more sleep than I did after researching this case. Goodbye.
Please don't turn your friends into soap, because that's fucked up. Goodbye.
Deuces.